right, so here we are again, episode 5 of Team 7 podcast. We are covering episodes 27 through 32. We have skipped episode 26. None of us watched it. If you watched it, great. Let us know your thoughts. But we are now officially in season 2 of Naruto, which is getting some of the good stuff now, baby. This batch kind of lays some groundwork for us, and we're going to be talking about that. We see a little bit more of the side characters, and we get introductions into some characters that are going to play a part in the story of Naruto. Excited about that. So we can just get right into it. Episode 27 is where we'll start. That is the Chunin exam, stage 2, the Forest of Death. We have Asher's favorite, Anko, kind of explaining what's going to go on, what they're going to do, what the rules are of the second stage. And we'll begin there. So, Asher, Zach, here with me as always. What did you guys think?
I texted you all this, but I got a little bit of a nosebleed for Anko. Let me say this. The new opening is lit. I love the new opening. It's so good for season 2.
It's one of my favorites. It's just so, and the ending, because this entire batch is like, there's a meme that I saw a while ago that was like how anime will be extremely dramatic and intense, and then it'll go to its outro, and it's like just 2 girls singing, and it's like the most like whimsical and uplifting. No clue what they're singing about, but I love how it'll be like extremely intense, and then just immediately Sakura, like Chibi Sakura and Chibi Ino, just dancing and singing.
TikTok dancing it away.
Yeah, it's great. Intro's great. All right, sorry. Continue, Asher.
That's all I had so far. I like this. That whole opening was really slow. Like they're taking their time signing the forms for the exam. Like I'm assuming if they die, then nobody gets in trouble for it or something. But
yeah.
And vampire lady is what I called her. Really freaked me out with the tongue and stuff. So, and then we find out that Ino and Sakura are like big rivals. They do some flashback action. I like that. And then my biggest note for this episode is Hinata is breaking my heart. That's all.
Do we see Hinata besides like in episode 27?
Yeah, it's for like a split second, and Naruto's like walking up to her, and she like can't find her voice to say anything to him, and then he's like just walks away like, okay, what a weirdo.
Yeah, that is Hinata basically the entire time.
Makes sense. Well, the other thing I put down was that Gaara's teammates are even freaked out by him, which tracks for me because I'm very freaked out by Gaara, and I want to see what happens there. We didn't get a whole lot of that team action through this batch, so I'm curious.
Yeah. We'll see him next time.
At the beginning of episode 27, you mentioned the vampire lady. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wrote down, did Gene Simmons have a crossover into Naruto?
Oh my god.
Because that's immediately what I thought of when I saw that. That tongue freaked me out, bro. And sure enough, we're going to see a lot more of that tongue in a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll keep going. Team 7 goes in. They're kind of like the obvious like weaklings. Everybody seems to have like
honed in on
rookies.
Them.
Yeah. They like the rookies as a whole, but especially Naruto's team. I think just because he's so like loud and obnoxious, and they're just like this kid. But obviously we saw that Tongue Vampire, they have some different motives besides just getting the scroll. So I think that rewatching this, it was really, it's like a part that I've forgotten. Like I knew and like the reveal that we see later in the batch, like of like the faces and all that. I remembered that, but like Naruto getting swallowed by a snake and then like busting out of it with the shadow clone jutsu was, I just had completely forgotten about it. It's an interesting little like side part because like Sasuke is so obviously the target, but Naruto is dealt with in like a very specific way.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's this batch feels like a little lackluster to me. Like and I watched it in sub and then rewatched it in dub just for funsies. And still, I don't know. Like it's not. Maybe that's just because I know it's coming, but I'm curious what you guys think because
Is it because like this just pales in comparison to whatever happens next? Because I can feel this building up to something, but I personally found it pretty exciting throughout and a lot of just stuff going on. A lot of the teams kind of like meeting up with each other too. I did put a note for this episode that Choji is pretty nimble for all that he eats. I mean, they're like jumping through the forest and stuff, and he's having no problem keeping up. So maybe that's just a middle school age kid thing. He can like go right back to eating pork rinds after just like sprinting for a straight mile.
yeah, as you do. I guess that maybe that's just I was talking to a friend about this. I'm not also a watcher. My friend Connor. I think I've mentioned him. He's the one who got me into Naruto to begin with. Um he's a great friend. But he and I were talking about like carrying around like people like we had mentioned from the Zabuza arc and kind of just how that works. Why are people so light? Why are things so light? And they're able to pick them up. And he brought up a great point that maybe it's just a testament to their strength that it isn't like a huge deal for them to move around like that because the amount of strength that they have, even at the age that they are, they're only 12. And yeah, after a mile, straight back to pork rinds, which reminds me, I need to do this now. And this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler for, anybody watching. And if you're listening, go to our YouTube and watch our videos because this is the only way this is going to make sense. So, Connor has gone to an anime con a few years ago and he got this. I don't know really what this is. It kind of reminds me of a bookmark, but it's metal. But it is from Naruto and Shippuden, so there's going to be a little bit of a spoiler here. But it's signed by the woman who voices Naruto, but I can't remember her name right now, so I'm going to have to look it up. But
I'm sorry,
here it
a
is.
woman voices Naruto?
I believe in the dub and sub.
What?
That's like yeah.
That's awesome.
So here it is. And it says to Connor, and then it says believe it right here. And then it's got her signature, and then down here at the bottom, I can't remember. Oh, it just says Naruto. But yeah,
Nice.
so I wanted to show that off because he had lent it to me, and I was like, I have to show this on the podcast because it's amazing. So, and I didn't want to wait because when are we going to get here? It's going to be a while. You'll forget about this by the time that this comes around. So, no worries. But I thought that was really cool. So, thank you, Connor, for lending me that. I think that it's like one of the coolest pieces to show.
That is cool. I love that.
I need to look up her name.
Also,
now that I'm thinking about
weird
it.
of me to be surprised that it was a lady doing that because Bart Simpson, first of all, and then literally like the entire cast of Bob's Burgers minus like one person. No, wait, that's the opposite. I'm sorry. That cast is all men doing it, and then there's Kristen Shaw doing Louise. So anyway,
her name is Maile. Miley. It's Maile. But
Mailman.
Yes. Oh wait, you disabled screen sharing. I was gonna show her Wikipedia's.
Wait, does she? I got you. There you go. Does she do the voice for Japanese and English? Is that what you were saying?
No,
Or it
this
just
I'm just
happens to be
saying.
a woman for
This is
each?
Yeah, this is her. And I believe that it's a woman for each because I don't think that this woman actually speaks Japanese. I could
That's
be wrong,
cool.
but who knows? So there's that. A little screen share fun. But yeah. So we'll get back into it. Sorry about that. I wanted to show that
Well,
off because it was just super cool.
Yeah, I want to
going
hear
back
some
to
of Zach's
your
thoughts on this.
going back to your initial point, I have a feeling it's probably because everything post the Forest of Death is better, I guess. Um I just have to say the art of the forest and like the lighting that they can provide, the hidden places that they can like, you know, I guess hide out from other people. I really appreciated these episodes because yeah, I just love the setting. I made a note. I like the setting of the forest. Um it's I don't know. It's going through it for the first time. It's definitely keeping me interested, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like right there in it with them. And there's there's nothing in the future that I'm like, I just can't wait to get to this point. Um, but yeah, the forest to me was definitely a welcome experience.
I love to hear that. That makes me very happy because I don't want to influence you guys at all with how you perceive the show. I'd love that you guys are loving it independent of me. Um yeah, I mean, I think that the forest I think it's interesting because it feels so large and they'll run for forever.
Yeah.
And then they're that like I don't know the team name, but Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji, like Choji's just chilling in a tree branch and he's like, oh hey, Sasuke and Naruto are collapsed. And then you can like see it.
Mhm.
And they're really close, and then you see Neji later on. Neji runs into them as well, so it feels like they're close in proximity as well. But the forest feels like all encompassing because it just feels like it never ends.
Yeah, it's a 5-mile radius, right? And somebody say that, or maybe diameter is what I'm thinking. I thought that
Uh,
was mentioned at some point. Which, I mean, if that's true, it's like a pretty big forested area. Maybe
yeah,
I'm
that makes
thinking.
sense. I mean, it's all fenced in. It's a circle, so I mean,
Maybe I'm
that makes
thinking that
sense.
they had 5 days in the wilderness, which, by the way, is an absolute bonkers premise to have 12-year-olds go and survive for like 5 days. But I mean, it's not any more bonkers than anything that we've seen so far, I would say. I mean, this is kind of tame compared to like the Zabuza fight and just emotion, the emotional aspect of that, which was deeper and heavier to me. This is almost like not fun, but it's not as heavy. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that that's fair to say. Um, Now that I think about it, like the earlier parts of the episodes, like 28, 29, maybe even 27, I can't really remember where that ends, but you see these like pockets that they're sitting in too, where like the forest feels like they're just like sitting out in the open. I thought that was interesting to depict because like whenever Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto are talking about like the phrase, the
The
code word or
password.
password that they were going to use, and how they manipulated Naruto to make sure that anybody listening would, essentially hear it. But
By the
um,
way, when does a ninja strike?
Was that
I
it?
don't know.
It was.
It was like
That was the
when does a ninja
question.
strike? Yeah, and
I
it's
memorized the past speech.
I think it's
Dude,
something in the night
I
whenever
would have
they're
I would have been right there with Naruto. Like that would have gotten
yeah,
me completely.
same. Same. All
That
right, let's hear it, Zach.
yeah.
A ninja waits until the time is right, when the enemy sleeps and drops his guard. When his weapons lie forgotten in the stillness of the night, that is the moment for a ninja to strike.
That's amazing.
You memorized that? You're not reading it?
I memorized it, baby. My notes are over here.
God, that's awesome.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that was my only note for episode 28, other than creepy snake lady was like, password thing is long. Ew, there's her tongue. Snake lady, snake, password. So that's kind of all that happened in episode 28.
It was a nice little callback at the end of episode 28 when, there was that fake Naruto, the substitution. And then at the end, he was like, by the way, what's the password? I was like, I can tell you. I know it.
So this is because I don't know. This sounds so pretentious. I don't mean it this way, but because I watched in both dub and sub, and Crunchyroll has like different subtitles than like if you watch sub and Netflix.
Look, I'm not doing Netflix anymore. I didn't tell Zach this, but I did get Crunchyroll, so we're all good on the sub now.
I'm just gonna have to get Crunchyroll.
So Crunchyroll, sponsor us. We all have it. So anyways, what I was saying was the subtitles for Naruto whenever you watch it on Netflix is just the subtitles from the dub. But the subtitles on Crunchyroll and probably from Hulu as well are a little bit different than the dub actually is, obviously. Maybe that's not so obvious, but to me it feels it that way. But at the end of that episode, whenever he is talking and he says, like, by the way, what's the password again? He says that like in the dub, but in the sub, he's just like, that password, I forgot it. and I love how nonchalant he is about it. But the differences, we've talked about this before, and I hate to rehash this, but the differences are funny to me at this point. I think that it's the same gist every single time. You're never getting a different story, but overall, I think that you kind of see a little bit of a different character from Naruto. A little bit more snarky, a little less stupid, if that makes sense.
Are you saying more stupid in the dub?
Yeah.
And
a little bit more like I don't know, it just feels like almost like in the dub, Naruto is like strong but an idiot. But in the sub, it feels like Naruto is strong but like hopelessly arrogant.
Okay, I was going to say hopelessly arrogant is very interesting. I'd love to explore that. I was going to say highly intelligent
or hopelessly confident. Arrogance,
that's great.
The wrong way.
That's great. Yeah, that does make more sense. Kind of tracks with where my brain's at with him. But I think highly intelligent in his own way, but in the realist sense of the diagnosis, ADHD. Like absolutely, like problems focusing. Like I'm saying this because my wife has ADHD, and I've seen all these kinds of things, and I'm like, yeah, he got it. He needs something to do with his hands at all times.
That's really funny.
So I have a question on episode 28. I was curious about it. I wrote it down.
Snake.
We'll get there. The old snake. It has to do with Sasuke. So he's got the Sharingan. He's able to, use his eyes and all those. You'll have to explain to me the Sharingan again. But also, is it a sign of his like power and ability that he's able to channel it? Like, and I guess the reason I'm asking is because we definitely see a little bit more of the nine-tailed fox. I know that's not the same thing. I don't think they are, at least. But it to me is like, oh dang, Sasuke is like practicing this. He's able to channel it better. But I don't know if I'm off in that thinking. Is that something he's training, or is that just something he's kind of just, naturally getting better at, or is it something that he's always been
Or is it
able to?
both? Because it's kind of a bloodline trait, but it's something he can cultivate, maybe.
Yeah, so it is both. So you have to be an Uchiha to have like the Sharingan awaken in your eye. And
No
And what is a
spoilers.
Chiha? That's
I
a
know.
village, or that's like a bloodline?
No, that's a family. So like there's Sasuke Uchiha is his family name. And the Uchiha bloodline has the Sharingan. You'll get more explanation on this, but I don't think that this is too much of a spoiler because it's just world building. It's a Kekkei Genkai, which is what it's called, where basically it's actually they explained Kekkei Genkai
Yeah, they
already.
did talk about that.
So like Haku could use ice because it was a combination of two different chakra types. But this is a different type of Kekkei Genkai, and his family has this, and you have to awaken it. You have to be a certain like you have to become strong enough for it to awaken. Not every Uchiha awakens the Sharingan. And then from there, once you do, it's an incredible toll on the body and chakra. So you have to train to be able to use it better, to be able to use it longer, to be able to use it more on demand, except or like outside of times whenever you're extremely stressed or you amped up or whatever. So to be able to just like turn it on and use it is going to take time and training. So both is probably the best answer I can give for that. There was another part of that I wanted to answer, and I can't remember what it is now.
But I mean, I guess I'm on the right track that Sasuke is definitely a powerful character in that he's so young and able to channel it. You know, he's able to turn it on and off. We saw that a few times in these episodes where he's kind of like, you know, thinking through something. He's like, hang on, let me turn this off. And his eyes go back to black or whatever they're supposed to be. And then later on, he's like, nope, actually. And then his hair starts flowing, and Sakura's like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's something that he can control. Whereas like with Naruto, that's just a sealed beast inside of him. We hear Orochimaru talk about this later whenever he's after Sasuke and targeting Sasuke, that he's after his he's like impressed by his powers at the age that he's at. And then we see him subdue Naruto with the 5-prong seal on Naruto's seal that appears whenever the Nine Tails chakra starts to leak.
Will there be further explanation of that stuff in the future?
Oh, yes.
Oh, thank God.
Dude, we have so much time to talk about, not even us, like the show has so much time to talk about everything. So everything is talked about. If you have a question, it will more than likely be answered. I don't think that I know of any that's like just lingering out there, meaning like the entire series. I don't personally know of like a hole that's just like that never got brought up again.
Plot hole or something.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are some minor things, but largely every single thing is explained in vast detail, so you have nothing to worry about. But yeah, that those eyes are like specific to the Uchiha and something that he can control at least a little bit right now. So
nice. We'll go Sasuke.
Yeah, he's really cool. I really like him.
Very emo.
I'm kind of liking.
I saw him and Aki from Chainsaw Man at the top of a list of most emo anime characters, and I was like, yeah, this tracks so far. I love it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a few other. I think Gar's up there.
Yeah, but Gar, I don't know. I guess emo because he's got like eyeliner on, right?
Yeah, I think it's eyeliner.
That would be hilarious if somebody that badass and scary is like, you know, part of me being this badass and scary is like making this part of my morning routine. You know, I love it. Still creeping me out. Sorry, Zach, what were you saying?
I was just saying, I brought up last week that he looked like he's part of My Chemical Romance. Like Gerard Way was definitely in the room when they were designing Gara.
He just happened to drop by and they're like, yeah, okay.
How do you feel like he should look?
Sand guy.
Well, mascara. Absolutely.
Oh,
love that.
man. Okay, so episode 29, we've kind of talked about a little bit. No, maybe we haven't yet. But I made a note at the beginning that 9 minutes into this episode, I'm so confused as to who is who. And it's doing that thing again where I'm like, well, everybody may as well be a clone, except the snake lady. It was pretty clear, like, who she was for the most part. But then everybody else, I was like, I don't know. That could be anybody at this point.
Yeah, show's betraying your trust again. Every time that there's a substitution, I immediately think of you guys losing more trust in the show, which they do a great job of. Yeah, I think that so Naruto's counterattack never given, episode 29. So we're talking about right now. I think that fight between, we'll just go ahead. I mean, we know it's Orochimaru. We have nothing to hide here. But we didn't know it at the time. But Naruto like really gives her a run for the money, run for her money, his money. Depends on when in the episode you want to change that pronoun. But I love that Naruto gives it back to Sasuke, that he's like, are you scared, scaredy cat? Like, yeah. I love it. He even in the midst of like the nine-tailed fox like leaking out, like it's still Naruto, he's just like enraged, but he stops that massive snake and he beats it like he's punching the nose. And I love the animation that it's just like he's just going at it like just as many times as he can, but ultimately he's punching like a 1 square foot of this giant snake, but it still does a ton of damage to it. I just thought that was really interesting and funny to see. But yeah, I mean, those snakes, they could have been anybody. Who knows?
I definitely didn't think they were snakes, like legitimate enemies. I definitely thought it was some kind of jutsu or substitution. But I was also like, is there a snake village? This is, a weird shadow clone. But then I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is Orochimaru's jutsu. He can summon snakes, correct?
Yeah. So remember how
I had a
Kakashi can bring the dogs?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he can summon those dogs. That is Orochimaru's like you'll get way more explanation on how this works down the line, but he has a deal with snakes, and he can summon them. So those are real. And I think that the show does a good job of like building it to those snakes could have just been beasts of the forest, because they're like, hey, there are beasts that'll eat you in here. And then the first thing we see is a huge snake, and you don't really at that point have a reason to believe that it would be anyone's like personal snake at all. And then later in the episodes, we see those huge tigers, which are an extremely interesting addition to Naruto, just because it's like so out of place for the world, it feels like. And
well, that's what I felt about snakes.
Really?
I mean, in the same way with tigers. I mean, they both to me were like, what are these guys doing here?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
I'm assuming we'll get answers on that and the whole earpieces that have still not shown back up that they used in season 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
go ahead.
Also, the like masked guys that came and talked to Anko, we didn't really get names, did we?
You won't.
You won't.
You won't. So the Anbu is they're anonymous.
I love that. That makes me love them even more.
Oh, they're like the shock troopers, right?
Yeah,
they're like the big boys.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like
SWAT team.
they're secret, or not secret, but they're the Ambu Black Ops is their name, and it's
Blackwater.
So I don't
I'm gonna keep
know.
throwing out different things.
They're like the
You agree
elves that
with
come
me.
and break. They're like the elves that come and break Santa Claus out of jail in Tim Allen's The Santa Claus.
Yeah, like I mean that is such a better analogy than it should be.
That's my favorite Christmas movie, I think. Gosh, it's funny.
It's up there. It's a good one.
It's up there.
But yeah, those are the Ambu Black Ops. They're like top dude. Okay, Zach talks so that everybody can see what you're doing.
I was just walking like Tim Allen and those elves did.
I forgot about that.
Okay, so
Music
real quick,
interlude.
when I was young, I have 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters, we would watch Christmas movies. Basically, I mean, we were like the family that would watch like the 25 Days of Christmas, like on ABC
Love
Family, every night. And that walk is something that like we would do to each other just to be stupid, just to like just to walk into a room and do that. And that just like brought back memories that I had forgotten about until you started doing that, Zach.
Last note about Santa Claus, just because I have something too. The interrogation scene, me and my brother would like jump in a room to each other and be like, Popo Shisho.
Oh my God. I love that.
I guess
let's make a podcast about the Santa Claus movies.
Could we please just branch off and do it? I say lashed out irrationally still on a pretty weekly basis. That's my thing from Santa Claus.
I love that.
So
hey, can we talk about Anko for a second? Because Zach 100,000% called it that if Naruto grew up and did something similar, like that's Naruto in the future, because we find her in episode 29 and she's eating, what is it, red bean soup, and just talking about how good the soup is. I was like, that's Naruto from like the first 2 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
So it was hilarious to me.
I love that she was eating the I don't know what they're called, but she was eating those like little like mochi balls is what it looked like, and she would pull them off of the toothpick and then throw it into the tree, and then it was the Konoha leaf, and she was like, Konoha leaf, like she didn't mean to do it.
Well, and the reason it was more Naruto is she said a perfect leaf.
Of course.
She was so proud of it. But
yeah, I think that the ninja that find the corpses, this is a weird transition, but whatever. The ninja that find the corpses of the actual grass ninja, and their faces are gone, and then we don't actually see that, I don't believe, but they're talking about it. And then Anko sees it, and she's immediately like, this is Orochimaru. And this is a huge deal. Go get the Hokage. And then she goes off to, face him. And it's kind of amazing that it has to be that Orochimaru wasn't planning on killing them, because like the amount of power that he has is, even in just the batch of episode that we watched, not me trying to pull information from the future, just these episodes, the amount of power that he has, he easily could have killed them, right? Like
easy. It felt like a light workout.
Yeah.
Like he was not struggling. He was playing around.
I think there's a few times that maybe they do catch him off guard, like whenever Naruto like hits him a few times and then he gets obliterated. And it's like, okay, you caught me off guard, but like ultimately you can't touch me. Mm-hmm. And like Sasuke tries to is it Sasuke who like just buries his head? And then I hate the animation, dude. It's so disgusting because like his head just like starts shaking back and forth and then it turns to mud. And then that was one of the times that I was like, they're gonna hate this show, because every time that it's like, that was sweet, and it's like, just kidding, substitution.
Yeah. I definitely thought it was a big pile of shiz though, because that's what it was.
Yeet.
'Cause I was like, there's no way that this guy is actually hurt. And it looks cool. And Sasuke landed a nice little move on this tree, but I was like, Nah, you're not gonna have me fooled that this guy's like in any way hurt." And then sure enough, huh? He's like, "How'd you get back there?" Like every other person in the world.
So yeah, I love how they're always surprised. They're always like, "No way, what?"
Yeah.
So is Orochimaru? I have like 2 or 3 questions, and if you can't answer them because of spoilers or anything, that's fine. But is Orochimaru from the Sound Village, or was that discussed here? Because I put that down as a note, but then I was like, wait, maybe I misinterpreted something. Zach, what were you?
So I have a theory, and
I want to hear yours.
I'll go ahead and say it before Logan is able to explain or not explain.
Perfect.
So in episode 30, we're introduced back into the 3 ninjas that are in the exam from the Sound Village. They're trying to get Sasuke, and from the orders of Orochimaru. So my theory, but it's also tied in with a question, is that the reason the Sound Village is so new is I feel like Orochimaru either started the village or is a top dog in the Sound Village because his headband changes. And he's like trying to get, more people. Like he said, he's trying to get, he's trying to build an army because he wants to take out the Leaf Village. So I feel like Orochimaru has a lot to do with why the Sound Village is so new, because not a lot of people are from there in the exam. They talked about it in the last batch of episodes that it was a new village. They're kind of a mystery. But it also poses the question of how did they fly under the radar? Because I feel like in the Chunin exam buildup, there was a lot of like questions of who's doing it and who's signing up, but I might have been naive to think that because the room of the actual exam last episode was so big and there were so many people that were leaving and being, taken out that I had no clue about. But these are the only sound people that we've seen, is Orochimaru and those 3 ninjas that are trying to become Chunin.
Right. Okay. If I could pile on to that a little bit, it seems to me that Orochimaru, like y'all are saying, could have just wiped out Team 7, right? But there was some of that stuff where Sasuke is flashing back and he's being called little bro, right? Or little brother.
Yeah.
And then what was it? I made a note that he might be, I don't know, against or at odds with his older brother in some way. So I just had a theory that maybe Orochimaru is like wanting Sasuke to live, maybe even recruit him or, something like that to be able to have him as a foot soldier or something. And
his name's Itachi, right?
Yeah, his brother's name is Itachi. They've explained this. It's okay.
They have. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm just missing details here.
No, that's okay. So Sasuke's goal is to kill his brother.
Okay. So that was clear.
Yeah. And at the end of the episodes, whenever, well, I don't think that that's quite the end of the episodes, because then we transition to Sakura. So at the end of the fight with Orochimaru, he's kind of paralyzed and not able to move, and that's whenever Sakura is like, you can call Naruto whatever you want, but at least he's not a coward. And then he finally like kicks in because he's like hearing his brother's voice going through his head. Yeah. And he's like, you don't have enough hate, you can't like kill me until you do. And then that's what I was thinking.
I could see Orochimaru like channeling his hate to kill his brother and somehow recruiting him in some way. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't go that far off the rails or something, but that's just my possible prediction. Might be out of left field.
We will see. Those are things that I can't answer because it will reveal where we're going. So I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I am not saying either. Okay.
Well, I have a note about this from episode 30. I just wrote down, I feel like this is the beginning of a big part of the or the Sasuke story. And the reason I said that is because of the artists. Whenever this happens and Orochimaru bites him on the neck and curses him and puts that mark on his neck, I feel like, and we kind of get a little taste of that with Anko in a little bit. But the biggest reason for why I say that is because of the sunset. It almost felt like the dawning of a new chapter. Like something about the way that they had the light glowing through, it was, you know, definitely different than anything we've seen in the forest so far. It was kind of like golden hour, it was glowing, and he's like just been bit, and Sakura's like trying to console him, but I was like, this is the start of something for sure.
You son of a bitch.
I
Think you
love
cracked
that
it.
you catch on to things like that. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. Again, not saying you're right, not saying you're wrong, but it's just incredible insight to see something like that because even now I didn't catch on that. I didn't see the sunset and think this is because of a reason besides filling a frame. I mean, I think about it so pragmatic. So I love that you think of it that way. We will see.
Well, I think
And
we're all
we will
catching
see
some of
very soon.
that stuff differently too, because where I'm coming from and thinking that Orochimaru might recruit him in some way or work behind the scenes to cultivate his anger or something. A throwback to the song, right? Cultivate your anger. What if that's
Ooh.
the spoiler? Holy okay. But I see that as more of like the emotional side of it. So I'm missing all of the sunset stuff as well because I'm wondering like, how is Sasuke feeling in this moment toward his older brother or something?
The only reason I say that is because typically if there's like a big change in a character, Hollywood and like it's just a way that you symbolize like the reason I said the dawning of a new chapter is because what has happened to Sasuke before, this is the shift. And so this is the sunset to bring on a new entire day that's going to happen. And that's just kind of like symbolism, but I just it was too, especially in the way we talked about the art and how it's developed in previous episodes of this podcast. It was too different of a setting to be like not important.
Mm,
So that's my reasoning for that.
I got you. I like it. I think that I want to bring this up because I want to make sure that you guys like heard it and saw it. That Anko is a former subordinate of
Orochimaru.
Orochimaru.
Yeah.
To what degree you'll learn, but kind of to go back to Zach's question or theory, which I don't know if you really want answered. I definitely won't answer all of it. But where is Orochimaru from? You'll learn.
Yeah.
The Sound Village is new. It's small. It's very small. It lies in between two large countries. So it is just like a little sliver of land.
Sounds like it's 4 people so far.
Yeah, it's a little sliver of land that's been carved out. His involvement in the Sound Village, you'll learn. And last thing that you brought up that I want to answer, you asked something about like how did they fly under the radar? What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just saying like Orochimaru, it's clear that he's an S-class threat. He's top most wanted And I was just like, sheesh, like, how did this guy get 3 of his subordinates into this exam and them not think that this had anything to do with Orochimaru? Other than, yeah, he's probably not from the Sound Village because it's new. But the reason I said he started it is because he was so quickly to say, I'm going to take over the Leaf Village and start my own village, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like he's trying to like take over people's places, you know? And so that's why I was like, I feel like he started the Sound Village.
Yeah. Can't answer that.
Does he?
But
Is it
I
economical?
can answer. Hang on. I can answer that the Chunin exam is open to any ninja. It's like cool. They explain it a little bit at the very end of season 1. But basically it's held in one village, but it's for all getting of any village, and it's supposed to show like unity, but it's also really used to kind of get a gauge on like where other villages are at, and who they're providing, like, or not who, like what's coming from the other villages we're going to look at, as well as showcase our upcoming talent. They were probably able to fly under the radar because there were so few of them and because they're pretty new, and there was just so many different ninja. Right now, we've really only been exposed to, I mean, we've seen the grass ninja, which is another small country. We've seen the sand ninja. We've seen the leaf ninja. We've seen the sound. And then we've seen, and these are just headbands that, like, the arrow going down is the, the watcher's gonna have to remind me. I believe it's the waterfall, and then just like the straight lines going down is the rain, and then like the squigglies that we saw is the mist. We saw the squigglies from Zabuza and from Haku.
Right.
I don't know if we see any of these, but there's a ton of different villages that hold ninja, and we just kind of get like a little glimpse into whatever Kishimoto wanted to show us at the time. But I think that we're just kind of like led to believe that like they slipped in under the radar because there were so few of them, and because it's new, and just because it's like we don't know anything about them, whatever, like they just got kind of dismissed.
So they probably wouldn't have been seen as a threat just because they're new, and they're like whoever is putting the thing on, which is, if I'm understanding you correctly, that's kind of a collaboration of the Hokage and the different villages to have it in one specific place. Is it like the Olympics? Like, is it in a different village each time?
So I can't remember.
We don't have to go into that either.
No, it's okay. I do believe that it's like supposed to be held different places, but we see it in the Leaf Village here.
Yeah.
But to go back to Zach's point about like them knowing like, oh, these are, I guess I do have to tell you. So like them entering the Chunin exam and being sound ninja is not a direct correlation to Orochimaru to anybody. No one is aware at this time that he has any correlation to the Sound Village. So or they would have attacked the Sound Village or gone after him or something. But for these ninja to be submitted, the Hokage wasn't like tipped off that like, oh, Orochimaru is putting his students in, because it wasn't that way. So I can't answer your question about like how the Sound Village came to be, but I can tell you that it wasn't like common knowledge that he had anything to do with it. Even to the degree that we see now, where like he peels the face off, and then the headband he's got on under the face mask, which is an interesting choice, has the Sound Village crest. Even at that level, it's not like that's all that anybody would know at that time, and really only Team 7.
But it does
that's probably new
explain
information for everyone.
Sure, it does explain though why those 3 ninja are sinister, and you know why it's so new, I guess. But I'm not necessarily needing that answer because I feel like we're going to find it out soon enough. But So those three guys are technically subordinates of Orochimaru, similar to Anko in the past. Oh,
Yeah,
we'll find that out too.
similar.
But yeah,
No, I'm just trying to don't interpret my pauses for anything besides me trying to make sure I don't give away anything.
no, I'm just saying from the base level, like they're definitely like all their choices are filtered through. Once we found out Orochimaru's name, all their inner dialogues there on out are kind of filtered through what would Orochimaru want us to do.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
and yeah, they are there because Orochimaru wanted them to be there, and
yeah.
they're fulfilling a task that is not the Chunin exam.
Yeah.
I would say that it's probably a double. I'd say they actually have to be Genin, but they're clearly motivated by other means besides just
And I guess, yeah.
getting to be a Chunin.
And Genin is above Chunin, right?
No, Genin is what everybody in the Forest of Death right now, with the exception of Anko, is Genin, and they're all trying to become a Chunin.
Yeah.
So
but
Genin, Chunin, Jonin.
But they explain that their task is to kill Sasuke. And so that's why they're confused why he put the mark on him.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I was confused too.
You're confused why he put the mark on him and didn't
No,
kill him?
I was confused when they were like, that fool, why would he do that? And I'm like, oh, so they're connected.
Yeah. For some future purpose. Also,
because they're going to be they're going to be privy to the curse mark like prior to Sasuke receiving it, because it's alluded to. Well, actually, it's straight up said that Orochimaru gave one to Anko.
Yeah.
And their mission is to kill Sasuke, but Orochimaru has just said that Sasuke has a 1 in 10 chance of making it. So why would he effectively 90% chance kill their target for them before they could do it, whenever that was what they were sent there to do? So it would be very confusing because they effectively are like, well, now we're just going to finish him off. He's laying there, but the job's kind of done.
This is getting so good.
It is, but now I'm getting more confused as we're talking about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's chop it up.
No, I don't necessarily want to go too much more into it because I think I'll probably understand once we get to the next part. My question now is like, what about the guy who had the cards and he was like, this is my 7th time at the Chunin exams? Was that right?
Yeah, what about him?
Kabuto?
Yeah, Kabuto.
That's why he seems so suspicious to me, because why is he there for the 7th time and why does he have all those cards? And he wasn't in any of this batch of episodes that I can remember.
He wasn't.
That just makes me
We'll
think.
see him in the next one, though.
Okay. It makes me think, though, that like the Sound Ninja kind of slipped under the radar because there were like the sheer amount of people. Like there were so many people there, like you were saying. And now it makes me think like, okay, who else is there for some other like motive or something? And that guy in particular just seems very sus to me. I don't know why.
He didn't give me that vibe.
Really?
So,
he seems too nice, which probably says more about me than him.
Maybe not nice. He just seems like he's going to play he's a different type of utility character to me. But
yeah,
I honestly have no clue. He definitely gave me a wiser vibe, but also at the same time, like, how do you fail something 7 times? So
that's what seems so strange. Like, is that on purpose or something? I don't know.
Playing devil's advocate to the story. I think that you have to look at his age. Like we're assuming that Kabuto's just like we're just looking at like we're assuming that Kabuto's just slightly older.
Okay.
But also keep in mind, like the majority of ninja in the ninja world, this isn't something that they've explained, but I'm just going to tell you this.
Sure.
Are Genin. Like that's like not a lot make it beyond that. And then way fewer make it to Jonin. So that's why they're so revered whenever they are Jonin, they're like, oh my god, that's Jonin level bloodlust or whatever they say, and like because it's rare. And it's the same thing with Chunin. Obviously, it's not as rare, but like they're squadron leaders. They can run a team by themselves, so they're entrusted with even more. So it's not uncommon for a lot of people to never make it beyond Guinea. But in Kabuto's case, like let's say he's 7 years removed from 12. 12 was his first year using it, so he's 19 now. All of those year, or actually, sorry, they hold it twice a year, so we could go if he did it every single time.
So he might be 16.
Yeah, so we'll say 16. So he's a few years older than them. The tests vary every year; they're not the same. So he could have been eliminated from something in his first stage, or he could have made it to the third stage. Like there's 3 stages.
Are you saying the year before might have been like a Joe Rogan Fear Factor type thing, and he was like, "Dude, I just can't eat bull testicles. Like, I'm out, and for this reason, I'm out."
Whoa!
I just can't handle Asher this late at night like that. So, I'm just playing. But so to play devil's advocate, I don't think that 7 times failed it's not. I think that it's more of like, why are you trying at this point than it is like you like no one fails that much. It's more of because no one fails that much because they don't try that often.
Right.
Or because if they're going to try that often, they probably already made it at some point. So you will, like I said, there's enough time for everyone. So you will learn more about Kabuto and why and all that. So, but yeah, just don't be too alarmed by like the amount of times. That's just kind of the wrong thing to be focused on.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
That is a perfect segue if we're good with moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's enough time for everybody, and we got some time with Mr. Rock Lee, Bush Sakura, and Miss Eno.
Yeah. So Rock Lee.
What a guy.
That was the words out of my mouth. What a guy. So I love that we get a little bit of insight into his training with his team and, Mike Guy and entrusting him with this jutsu and then immediately being like, you cannot use this unless you have to, which kind of shows the severity of the situation and how strong the Sound Ninja are. That he immediately went straight to like, I have to protect someone's life. And then it was thwarted. And then he was so obviously like dismantled from the sound.
Wiped. Yeah.
Yeah. But his resolve is unmatched. I think that for the amount that you guys don't enjoy him,
I think I'm the one who doesn't.
I'm all about
Zach
Mr.
does.
Lee.
Yeah.
Give me all the Rock Lee I can get.
This
bro.
is
that guy is my friend.
This is a 2 against 1 kind of thing. He would be my friend too. I would just be like, can we not hang out every day?
he's a little much. I get that. Yeah, his fight is really short-lived, but it just shows a lot about his character. It was great
noble.
timing. Yeah, he's extremely noble.
Yeah.
And
noble and has
hardworking,
unrealistic expectations of love and acquiring someone's affection, I would say. But that's part of being young. That's part of being young.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
We're told that he's a year older, so he's 13. If I think back to when I was 13, I was playing some of the same games in my head. If I can pick up all of these chairs or whatever, all these leaves, 20 leaves before they hit the ground, this will go my way. And I fell victim to that for so long. I would play the 8-ball game in my head all the time. If this happens, this will happen. If it doesn't happen, then that won't happen because they're correlated somehow. And even in the midst of that, he says, if I can get all 20 by the time they hit the ground, then Sakura will love me. And then at 19, he sees that squirrel and he's like, this game doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I need to save this squirrel.
Yeah. And then he's like, he peels the paper bomb off and he's like, who would do this? Like,
What an evil thing.
yeah. So I wanted to talk about this. I meant to ask, I brought it up and then I brought it up a couple times. Did you guys, I think Asher watching dub and sub this time because we took a week off last week. And so we just had a little bit extra time. I needed a refresher. So I watched in sub first and then dub. What did you do, Zach?
I did both.
You did? Okay, so we've all done both this week.
Yeah. I watched them in both for all 6 episodes.
Nice. Just curious.
It's kind of too good not to. Like if I feel like I have the time, it's like I'm watching Attack on Titan now, but I want to watch this more. I just don't want to get like too far ahead because we can't talk about 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of my problem too, is I wanted to push on through, and if I'm honest with you guys, listeners, watchers, the next batch, I wanted to lump them into one because we took the week off because I was getting so antsy because I want you guys to see what's coming so bad that I was like, let's just skip these. Let's skip these. Let's get this out of the way. But this batch of episodes has a lot of content that's needed for what's coming. If we skipped these, like say we just didn't watch 27 through 32, you come into 33 and you'd be like, what the hell is happening? You would be extremely confused. It has a lot of vital information. It's just a lot of buildup.
And we would miss 2 great quotes. I'm going to say who they are, and I want to see if y'all remember who said it. This is from Sub, by the way. The first one that I liked was, why doesn't my sexiness work? Something that there you go. But I'm constantly asking that myself. And then the other one is, I'm the handsome green beast of Leaf Village.
Well, that's pretty obvious. I'll let Zach go.
That's Rock Lee. But in dub, he called himself the handsome devil.
That's kind of better. I like that. I like that
one. I don't know. Sexy green beast just has a way to get straight to my heart.
I will say, without going into the whole dub versus sub like we did last time, specifically for Rock Lee, I'm fighting dub every time. That guy who dubbed Rock Lee is amazing.
Okay, so bringing Connor back up. Hey, Connor. Welcome.
Thank you so much for your contributions, Connor.
Yeah. So I was over at his house and we were watching some Naruto. He's a little bit ahead of us, but we were watching it and we were talking about just dub versus sub and how it's just basically done. It's preference and whatever you're feeling at the time. Like, and it's totally fine. Whatever. Like, you think people get too hung up on it. And the amount I've talked about it tonight sounds like I'm getting too hung up on it, but you know what I mean? But there's just something to being able to like watch it and not have to watch the bottom of the screen. And whenever you have good voice acting, it makes it like I watched today. I told Asher this before we started recording, but I watched the movie Your Name, which is an anime movie. Have you watched it, Zach?
I have.
Yeah, it's very good.
So
and I watched it in dub today because I didn't want to read. And also because it's so beautiful, I didn't want to take the time to read. Like I just wanted to watch it. And the point that we were making that night was that like you're able to take in like more of what is happening on screen and some of the subtleties that you definitely miss whenever you're reading. And that's kind of my constant battle with it is like, if I go watch next week's batch tonight, I'm watching in dub. I'm going to start in dub and I'll go to sub because the mood I'm in is dub. And I think that, like I said, when you have good voice acting, it's a compelling argument to be able to just watch and it not be annoying. I think that there's some times that it can get very, very annoying, but I think I see that a little bit more in like Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. I think that back then, especially not now, I think that now in 2023, you get a good dub most of the time because it's changed from in the 90s it was we have to match the mouth, which they still try to do a little bit, but they want to match the mouth and then they want to make sure that it's like appropriate for the audience that they're playing to on like WB Kids or whatever. And so you got content changes there. But now you, and I think a little bit Naruto here. Now you get, what are they saying? What are they actually saying? What's the translation? And a good performance of what they are saying. As opposed to let's change the content to make it relevant for American kids or English speaking kids, whatever. And does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I think the objective has changed, and now the product has therefore become better.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even in this batch though, the dub versus sub comparison with like Orochimaru, there was a clear difference between there was a man and a woman speaking.
yeah,
Whereas in the sub, I didn't get that. When I watched in sub first, I thought, you know, I never heard a transition. Maybe there was one, but it was way more subtle than the dub.
there is one, but it is way more subtle. And the Orochimaru English voice actor, his voice is so, I mean, this is nostalgia speaking for sure, but it's so iconic in like the same but different way as Rock Lee, because it's like menacing in a way that like, because I know what he's saying, because I can understand English, it like irks me. Whereas I'm like, I hear his voice, but like it doesn't really like have the same effect in sub as it does dub. If you're listening, watching, whatever, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Especially with Naruto specifically. I think that dub versus sub you could talk about for ever, but like specifically to Naruto. There's just some good, like Kakashi's dub voice is great too. Sasuke's dub voice is great. I think that it gets better in Shippuden. I think Naruto's gets way better in Shippuden. But
see, I like
then you've
Sasuke's. I like Sasuke's sub voice better.
I'm not saying I like it better. I'm not. I'm just
okay.
saying I like it. But like Sakura's, I can't stand her dub voice. I can't stand Ino's dub voice.
That's funny.
Choji, I am so on the fence about, like, it's whatever. And then like Shikamaru was one of my favorites, if not my favorites, like if not my actual favorite growing up. So I'm really biased towards his voice, but I just kind of like the like, what a drag. Like it's just it's so ridiculous. But I do think that we've got some great voice actors doing the characters in dub as well. So, but with that being said, I think, like I said earlier, with Naruto's sub voice, it's a little bit more true to the character. I like it, if I'm thinking of like Kakashi's sub voice actor, like it feels a little bit more like appropriate. Not that the dub one isn't, it just feels more appropriate. But yeah, I don't know. So Rock Lee fights the Sound Ninja, and then he gets, dealt with, and then we see Team whatever. I can't remember their name. I can't remember their. I think it might be 9. I don't know. Somebody correct me on the wherever that you see this at.
I'm gonna look it up because I did put them all together. That's 10.
Nice.
Right.
10 is Shikamaru.
Yeah, and Choji. Okay. That's 10. Yeah.
Okay, so Team 10 shows up, and they're kind of just watching on. They see that things are not going well, and we see Sakura have her moment. So she does substitute after substitute after substitute, and then just eats the kunai, which both times I watched it, I was like, that would hurt so bad. Yeah.
That's so badass. That was probably one of my top 3 like favorite moments of this batch, just because like she's too smart to just keep using substitution. She knows that they're gonna like catch on to it, but to just take it, ugh, and then just get like the shit beat out of her for like what feels like 10 minutes, which is probably only 10 seconds, but you know, everybody
The
on
way
this
that, yeah.
the sidelines are just kind of everybody on the sidelines is just kind of watching and being like, oh my gosh, do we help? Do we not? How can we help? And she's just like,
She's gonna have a bad concussion, dude.
and she
Like, I
has
was,
less hair to cushion the blow now. So I don't know if that was like the best timing for that, but it looks cool. So
yeah, I've also I love when she does that, when she takes the kunai and cuts her hair. I love that the girl holding her like falls, like is
Yeah.
like gone. and and you know, like in reality, it's probably like it cuts and she's like, oh, whatever, and she lets go. But like falling, I just thought that was interesting, a little tidbit to
I wonder if she was like pulling her hair enough, and that's why she thought, let me just cut it off. And
yeah.
so when
Yeah.
she didn't think it would happen like that. And so whenever she cut it off, it was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it has to be that. That's the only way that really makes sense in my brain. But Sakura, she takes a beating, but she definitely opens the window for Team 10 to come in. And that's the last thing we see actually in the episode, is that Team 10 shows up to help. Which I love that is drug Choji out by the scarf. I don't know if you saw that or not, but she had that extended because I guess he didn't want to go. But we'll get to see Team 10 fight, which is just the beginning. And I've said that for 32 episodes now. But in reality, this is just the beginning. So yeah, we'll get to see finally a fight with, I think this is the first time we'll see a team besides Team 7 fight, right?
I think so. Yeah. As far as
we
like,
see Lee, but that doesn't really count.
yeah,
it wasn't the whole team. It was just him.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. We've only seen like rogue ninjas coming and trying to stop them, but nobody like teaming up together, especially from the Leaf Village. To my knowledge, yeah, this is the first time we'll see it.
The guy that took Naruto's form earlier was Bane, right? He had the mask. He was from Batman.
Yeah, that was Bane. They did a crossover with DC.
He was kind of by himself. The last note I had for really any of these episodes was I liked the flashback stuff with Ino and Sakura, and it kind of seemed like, I mean, up to this point, it seems like Ino's kind of the mean girl. I mentioned that last episode. Like she's the one kind of bullying Sakura, but it does seem like in the flashbacks, Sakura is the one who is kind of like, well, we're like sworn enemies now because we both like Sasuke. So it's kind of on her plate. I just thought that was cool that they played with that relationship a little bit, and it wasn't just like, here's the bully, here's the bullied, but it's kind of both ways.
Yeah. And like they show with the flashback that Sakura was like, she had short hair. And then she was like, well, I'm going to grow it out because Sasuke likes girls with long hair. And then Ino grew hers out because for the same reason. And then knowing that Sakura is still just madly in love with Sasuke, still cut her hair, was cool symbolism of like, well, one, I mean, she had to do what she had to do.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a sign of like, that doesn't matter to me anymore. I've got bigger things to do. And I think that that's one of the reasons that Ino was spurred forward to jump in and help, because she, one, remembered her friendship with Sakura, which I think the cutting of the hair was a little bit of a show of that as well, with like Ino being like, this is bigger than like who is going to get Sasuke.
Yeah, it was becoming like life and death.
Yeah. And I like that. The relationship that they have, we'll get more on that. But I do like that Sakura was like, guess we're rivals now, which is like such a foreign thing to me. But like thinking about like the Pokemon games I've played and this and like other anime, rival to me seems to be something that like reappears. that like you can be friends with your rival but like you have a rival. But like I don't have a rival in my life. Like I have like several best friends that I absolutely adore. And I wouldn't call one of them my rival because to me that word would be somebody that is like, I guess I think of sports and there's no love there between like Duke and UNC or like UT Florida or UT Alabama or Auburn Alabama. It's not like this is my best friend, but they're
Also
my
hate 'em.
rival. It's like, no, I hate you. You're my rival. So I think that's interesting that she immediately was like, rivals now. See ya.
Right.
Walks away.
Well, it seems like Sasuke and Naruto have like a semi more evolved version of that so far, and I'm sure all of it's going to like grow and grow, which I'm really excited about. But I think I'm most excited about their relationship because I know they're going to become closer friends. Probably, I said I know, and then I said probably, but they're always going to have that like rivalry aspect to it, or always arguing or debating or something. So I like.
Are you
that.
talking about Naruto and Sasuke?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, they cut through that like when Naruto is trapped in the snake and he's like, is this how it ends? You know? And then he goes through like his list of like people that he's gonna miss. And then he's like, I mean, and I guess Sasuke too. And then they kind of, he kind of has this moment of like understanding like Sasuke serves a more of a purpose of like challenging me to be better. We're kind of pushing each other farther into, maturity, but also like our skills are growing together. But I don't know, man. Something about that scene made me feel like there's going to be something that goes down between the two of them. I don't know. It feels like they're definitely gonna be rivals for life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope it's not love triangle too. I just want to call that now. I don't think it will be, but I hope it's not.
With Sakura?
Yeah, because
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. I don't think so either. But I don't think I would like it if that was part of their like rivalry
both-
within the team.
Yeah.
I think so far Sakura has been very clear that she doesn't like Naruto.
Right.
If anything, we're gonna see a love triangle with Brock Lee.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah,
Never
that's a
know.
good point.
The sexy green beast.
He did profess his undying love and said, "I'll die for you." And she was like, "He proved it."
Good
Thank
God,
you, Rock
dude.
Lee.
If he like meets any other girl, he's gonna be like, "Oh shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Whoops."
Yeah. So looking forward, after this season, I think at the end of season 2, which would be episode 52. So we'll hit that in 5 weeks time. 4 weeks time. I think that we should revisit. We'll have much better understanding of like support characters here, and I think we should revisit favorite characters so far. I think we should revisit it at the end of every season, but I think that it'll be fun to hear how your answers have changed once you guys get through season 2, because this is really, in season 1, I mean, we really only deal with Team 7 and the trials and tribulations of those 3 characters. And here we're going to get we'll get to learn a lot more about everybody. So I know that you guys were excited to hear from like Kiba and Akamaru, and you guys have brought up Hinata a few times, and and Sakura. We'll get all that in season 2. So we've got a lot to look forward to, which is super exciting for me. I can't wait. I will probably start this next episode batch tonight, to be honest. It's great.
Yeah, actually, could we wrap this up? Because I'm just gonna watch it right here. I'm just gonna binge.
Well, I was gonna wrap it up. I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask if you guys had any other notes or anything that you wanted to talk about before we kind of signed off.
I just wanted to say go Sakura. I thought that was a cool way to end this batch of episodes with her cutting her hair off and realizing she doesn't need to just be a person in the background. We kind of, before we started this podcast as a whole, I kind of watched this video that, and I think I mentioned this already, but it was like Naruto in like 22 minutes. Like, I don't know, not like I didn't watch a ton of it. I just wanted to see like the first couple minutes and just get a sense of like what I was getting myself into. But they kept saying that Sakura they called her useless. And I brought that up to Logan and he was like, do not listen to this new narrative that she's useless. And I got to say, I mean, she is the perfect third addition to Team 7. I mean, I appreciate the dynamic she brings to it. I appreciate, a lot of her commentary and perspective. And I just want to say, go Sakura.
Love that. I think that
she's my favorite. I don't see that changing throughout the series, especially out of those three. She's my favorite.
That's great. That's so great. I am not saying that Sakura is like underestimated because she is actually like she is strong. You'll see that, but like Zach said, she plays her part perfect. I think that the character there that needed to be the third part of Team 7, she's going to get development that's going to go outside of like, oh, I love Sasuke, Naruto, you're annoying. And that's kind of where she spent the whole first season, but she goes outside of that. But like, look at who she's on a team with. Like the name is Naruto. Like that's the show name. So like, and like his rival is Sasuke, who's also on the team. You can't ask for too much from that third team member without it being like
overwhelming.
Well, yeah, or taking away from the other two. I think that a lot of people give her so much flack for not having. Now Kishimoto receives a lot of flack for not having great like woman character development, and I think that that's a different argument for a different time. And I can hear some of that a little bit more than I can hear that like Sakura is useless. I just think that's just stupid.
It's a dumb take for sure.
I just don't hear that. Yeah. So, all right. So looking forward, next episode batch, we will be watching episodes. This is a little bit shorter batch. It's going to be 33 through 36, which will take us right up to the end of the Forest of Death arc in the stage 2 of the Chunin exams. And then we'll get to continue stage 2 for, I believe, the rest of the season. So, a lot to look forward to. 33 through 36. See you there. Whatever. I'll believe it. I think that's what we were saying now.
Believe it.
Yeah, it was more like that.
Yeah, like that. All right. Well, see you guys. 33 through 36. Zach's got his thumb up. He has to talk for
Believe it.